Hey, what is up? Welcome to the Secret Agent Showcase, where we spotlight members of our thriving community of secret agents. I'm Tom, social media manager for Secret Foundation, supporting Secret Network. And today we're going to profile an agent, ask a few questions, and get to know them a little bit better. Today we are joined by Brendan. Brendan, what's up, man? Welcome to the Secret Agent Showcase.
What's going on, Tom? How you doing?
Let's kick things off right now with who you are. Let the folks out there know who you are and what you do in the secret ecosystem.
Sure. My name is Brendan Kittredge. I run a validator called Whispernode. I'm currently living down in Puerto Rico, and I was previously on the awareness committee and currently a founding member of the secret agency.
Nice. I think the last time I spoke to you, we were at Face to Face. We were at Decentral Austin. You were doing a lot of good work down there for sure. So speaking of backstory, and I always use the term origin story because I think it's appropriate here. Walk me through this, okay? When did you first get into Web3? And in conjunction with that, why did you get involved with Secret Network?
Yeah. So I got into Web3 actually back in 2016. One of my co-founders, his name's Nick Janis. He's a Web2 developer. At the time, he was doing a lot of freelance dev work, and he was getting paid in Ethereum. And I didn't have any clue what blockchain, Bitcoin, or Ethereum was back in 2016. And he started explaining the concept to me of programmable money, of smart contracts. And it just really blew my mind that you could have like unstoppable code that you set up all the parameters and everything, and it just kind of runs on its own in a decentralized manner. So I got really interested in the space. It was pretty young back then. And I was checking out, like, I think it was called DApp Radar, and it had like a list of all the applications that were being built. There were all kinds of new projects popping up and doing fundraising, and they would all have white papers explaining, how they were going to use this new technology to, cure everything, cure every known disease and solve every problem in the world, right? And I just got really wrapped up in it. I was reading white paper after white paper, trying to understand everything I could. And that was when I came across the Enigma white paper written by Guy Ziskind. And it blew my mind at the time, back in 2016, 2017, that this was literally the only white paper. And for those that aren't familiar, Secret Network, there's a whole history. It used to be called Enigma. There's a long history there. Won't go back into that. But at the time, it was the only white paper that addressed privacy. And that blew my mind because I couldn't imagine a world where corporations, real companies with like real customers and things like that, why and how could they use blockchain if all the data was public? Like a real company, that has customers and things like that, they can't afford to use technology where everything is public. It's not a matter of, hiding funds for the individual. For me, it was thinking towards a future where this technology is actually used and thinking of the security aspect of it.
You and I have talked about this before, about how much they can look and see everything you're doing and how they own that information and they basically control it. I mean, Web 2 is a scary place, kids, just so everyone out there is aware. So you talked a little bit about the Enigma project, and of course, Enigma transitions to become Secret Network. It's a great story, folks. It really is. But kind of walk me through your timeline, starting with Secret Agency. When did this become a thing for you? And kind of what does that look like coming into the network as Enigma becomes Secret?
Yeah. So back in 2017, we had a core group. I think we called it like the Enigma Ambassadors. And it was a pretty small, tight-knit group of people. And they were just contributing in a variety of ways to help the project, doing like business development, talking to projects about the technology and how they could utilize it, doing research, because at that time, proof of stake wasn't this huge thing it is now. Like the Cosmos SDK didn't exist. There were very few projects that had actually implemented proof of stake in practice. You know, it was a lot of theory. So we were doing all kinds of things like business development, researching other projects, researching the tokenomics behind proof of stake and staking. And, you know, it was just a really rewarding experience to be involved in a project that I was invested in and have the opportunity to like dive in and have real conversations with other companies and learn about Web3. And it was just fascinating to me. You know, like I said, I was diving into every white paper, and then to be able to like actually get involved in these things, it was super cool. So since that experience, and when Enigma became Secret Network, I've basically constantly been looking for ways to provide others with that same opportunity that us original Enigma ambassadors had.
Yeah, it's amazing the transition, because you know we hear the word ambassador thrown around in other with other protocols and whatnot. We hear it used in other instances, but with us, it really is. I don't want to say lifestyle, but you know, Brendan, it's a community of agents all around the world. It's not just a bunch of folks sitting around pushing buttons on Twitter. It's an active, thriving community of folks that actually want to get out there and get involved. Along those same lines, in terms of your involvement with Secret Agency and your secret agent coordinator, you're a lead, right?
Yep.
What are you doing behind the scenes to support the network in terms of being a secret agent lead?
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're talking about since the very beginning, it's kind of been like I think of myself like a Swiss Army knife, right? Like, I'll be honest, I'm not really good at one thing. And I don't have like a desire to just be pigeonholed into one thing. So I've done everything, man. Like I said, I run a validator. I've done a lot of outreach to influencers, secured podcast appearances, raised capital for the foundation, landed partnership deals, helped with content distribution, created video content, and then, you know, really created the original secret agent program, which has kind of morphed and changed over time to what it is now, which is where my main focus is now in setting up the secret agency and basically creating an organization to provide others with opportunities to do all of these things that I've done and others have done.
I was going to ask you what projects you've been involved with, what you're the most proud of. It sounds like I've already got my answer. How much pride do you take? I mean, not to lay it on your shoulders and say it's because of Brendan that we're here, but let's face it, you're a huge part of this, man. You really are. I mean, you've got to have some amount of pride when you sit back and see how big the program has gotten today. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's really been crazy to see how it's evolved from when it was first kind of ideated. You know, there were like a few of us working on it. The other person that had the biggest hand in it, James Waugh, he was really interested in it. He ended up leaving the network and going to Near. So I was kind of left on my own with this like loose idea of what secret agents could be one day. And we didn't have, you know, NFTs live on the network that can be used as badges and things like that. We didn't have platforms where, you know, we had an easy onboarding experience for agents to come in. So it's been crazy to see like how it's evolved and how much more organized it's been. And like a lot of the tasks I used to do now have like full-time people doing them. And I always say it's like, it's sad in a way. And I feel like I'm being replaced, but it's the best for the growth of the network and for scaling things.
Yeah, I get that. You're sort of at the behind the scenes with the architecture, and then as you design the building, you see it being built, and then everyone's using it on a daily basis. But I mean, again, you're able to stand back and say, I was one of the sort of the fathers of this thing at the beginning. Did you ever envision yourself doing something this big? In this space, I would guess no, but did you envision yourself sort of being that leader and taking charge with something this massive?
I mean, definitely not. Like this whole thing started out as just a fun way to like onboard people into the ecosystem. It was primarily like Discord based, you know, started playing around with bots that would assign roles and doing things that other ambassador programs for other projects kind of like mimicking what they were doing, but then always kind of putting one more thing on top of that and building upon it and making it a little bit better and a little bit better. And honestly, like just over time, more and more agents have joined and taken an interest to this thing. And I couldn't do any of this stuff without them. Like I've basically been replaced at this point, and we have a whole army of people that are doing really cool stuff in the program.
Do you enjoy going to those things? Is it a challenge for you? Do you like meeting other people? What's that look like for you?
Yeah. The events is actually like a huge inspiration behind the Holy Secret Agent program. Back in 2017, one of those like really rewarding experiences that I mentioned with the Enigma Ambassador program and stuff was I went to Consensus in New York and got to meet the Enigma team, got to meet Tor and John. I don't think Guy was there at the time, but there were some others from the Enigma team that were there as well. And again, it was just so cool as like an ambassador, as someone that didn't have a full-time job, like working for a project, to get to go to an event, meet people, have like these amazing conversations and make these amazing connections in the Web3 space. So again, that was like a huge inspiration for creating the agent program and trying to, again, provide that opportunity to other people. So I've been all around to events since 2017. Back then, I used to go with Tor before the foundation existed, and we would set up like coffee shop booths outside the conference. Like we weren't big time enough yet with Secret Network to be able to afford, you know, a multi-$1,000 sponsorship package and set up a booth and do all this, you know, elaborate stuff that now we do. So, you know, we used to go to like events in Washington, D.C., Consensus, like I mentioned, Bitcoin Miami, Masari Mainnet, Decentral Miami. I got to go to Cosmoverse in Portugal. That was amazing. Actually met Secret Skrilla there, which you'll probably do an interview with him at some point. So that was where we first met Skrilla, another, you know, top contributing agent